it showed that they were going on, they were involved in a real-time narrative tracking on all major media platforms in the days leading up to the 2020 election. So what does that mean? You had a government agency spying on your content in the days running up to the election. Hey everyone, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton here with our weekly update on social media. Thank you as always for joining us. A lot going on both sides of the country from your Judicial Watch. First up though was a case that we had here in Washington, D.C., a lawsuit we've been pursuing under the Freedom of Information Act for records about the social media censorship of the regime, the deep state, the Biden administration. And we've been fighting for some time for records about those, that pressure campaign from the deep state and the Biden administration to censor you and virtually everyone you know who's a conservative online. Obviously, the targeting were generally people that you follow, like President Trump, like me, like Judicial Watch, like so many others who dare to question the regime narratives on a host of issues ranging from elections to, as you may recall, the Hunter Biden cover-up, naked election interference by the deep state to suppress that information to help Joe Biden win in 2020, and so much else about COVID, vaccines, you name it. There wasn't a topic they weren't willing to censor over. And what's been exceedingly frustrating, to put it mildly, is that some of these documents, now at least two of them, are being withheld by the Trump administration, specifically Pam Bondi's Justice Department and Kash Patel's FBI. And we filed this FOIA lawsuit. When did we file the lawsuit? Back in April of 2023, we sued the Justice Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and the Office of Director of National Intelligence after the FBI failed. So when you sue with the Justice Department, you're suing the FBI, failed to respond to a December 2022 FOIA request for the records of any FBI official and key Twitter employees between June 2020 and December 2022. And we did get a bunch of documents, but they've been withholding two documents about meetings the Biden FBI had with Twitter, I think in 2021 and 2022. And it's frustrating beyond belief to have to go and fight in federal court here. And I was there with our senior attorney, Michael Bekesha. There's a picture of both of us a few years ago. But Michael was representing Judicial Watch in federal court. I was there as Judicial Watch president, as the client. And I tell you, it is frustrating beyond most measure to be in federal court on this issue, something like this, and have two attorneys from the Pam Bondi Justice Department defending the FBI's withholding of this information, go into court and fight us. That's what it was about. And it's two documents. So we've gotten many documents, many of which have been redacted, and they don't want to give us these two stinking documents. And I'll show you what the documents are about and show you why it's quite obvious why we want them. Let's call them up here. I can't see them here. So you'll see this first document, Social Network for Midterm Elections, Touchpoint Meeting with Twitter, dated for November 3rd, 2022. And you'll see down below, Dear Twitter folks. So this is an email that they could send to Twitter, but they can't publicize to us. It's really outrageous. For tomorrow's meeting, here are the topics we'd like to discuss. And there you see the redactions. Of course, they don't want to tell us who was involved in it as well. And let's go to the next document, or actually go up one. So that was the 2022 meeting. And there was also a meeting almost immediately after the Biden gang came in. Again, Twitter, February 24th, 2021. They're having a meeting, it looks like. Tentatively accepted meeting status. Go down, you'll see agenda. B5, B7E. So B5 means it's pre-decisional. B7E, they typically say it relates to some type of law enforcement techniques that they want to keep super secret. But they can send it to Twitter, but not make it available to the American people. And so Judicial Watch is fighting tooth and nail in court for these two documents. And it's one thing to be fighting against the Biden administration. It's another thing to be fighting against Pam Bondi's team at the Justice Department and Kash Patel's team at the FBI. And I don't understand why now we're coming into month 6 of the Trump administration. There hasn't been much change at all when it comes to transparency. And it's like we're just for practical purposes, in most of our FOIA cases, the Trump administration coming in hasn't made a difference. There's a case here and there where we've got material that we otherwise would not have gotten. It's clear, like the Biden audio tapes, I think it's clear. But in this case, we're fighting for basic information about the Biden gang's efforts to censor American citizens. Who is running the show at the Justice Department and the FBI when it comes to transparency? And it's not like, oh, this case no one knows about. I mean, people are upset that this is happening. If you go to my Twitter profile, I want to see something. Can you bring it up? Because I commented.
No.
One more time.
We're on your profile now.
Okay, can you pop it up? So I think I posted something. Yeah, so on the first thing there, you'll see, go back up. So Attorney General Bondi and DOJ attorneys were in federal court yesterday arguing why the American people should not be able to see what the Biden FBI was planning with Twitter. So let's go down. Let's see how many people looked at that. Okay, 739 comments. 445,000 people looked at it. Let's go look up my original tweet with Michael. Go up, click on the June 18th tweet. Nice picture of me and Michael. 545,000 people looked at it. Now that audience is bigger than most audiences on CNN or MSNBC. So you can be sure the Justice Department's very much aware of this issue. But they're still fighting us. And there's no good excuse for it. So the case was before Judge Sparkle Suknanen. And she's a recent Biden appointee. She was very professional, treated us with respect, seemed to know what she was acting in a way that was reassuring in terms of asking questions and trying to figure out what was going on. But the long and short of it is, after the hearing, we're just going to have to keep on fighting. We have to continue litigating this issue. So we got to file competing briefs and fight this issue, and the court's going to make a decision whether the withholdings are justified. So right now, it's the position of Pam Bondi's Justice Department and Kash Patel's FBI that we shouldn't be able to see the agenda that the FBI under Joe Biden had in their meetings with Twitter in terms of controlling content and, I would say, spying on Americans. As I said in our press release, it is frustrating beyond belief for Judicial Watch to have to go to federal court for basic information on Biden's abuse of the FBI by using Twitter to censor and monitor Americans. And earlier this year, Kash Patel committed to a new era of transparency at the FBI. Actually, we should go to this tweet if we can. Go to the press release, guys, if you can. They love it when I start throwing these curveballs. Slide down to my quote further. You see that? Click committed the FBI earlier this year. Click on that. We'll go to Kash's tweet. Let's see what Kash said in February of 2025. The FBI is entering a new era, one that will be defined by integrity, accountability, and the unwavering pursuit of justice. There will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, and no stone unturned, and anyone from the prior or current Bureau who undermines this will be swiftly pursued. If there are gaps, we will find them. If records have been hidden, we will uncover them, and we will bring everything we find to the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparently disseminated to the American people as it should be. The oath we take is to the Constitution, and under my leadership, that promise will be upheld without compromise. So you should ask yourselves, is that consistent with them hiding records about what the Biden FBI was doing with Twitter in terms of targeting Americans around the midterm election? Now, of course, these records we got onto because Musk privately allowed others to come in and look at the Twitter files once he bought the company. And we thought it would be useful to kind of sue on the other end to see what the FBI had in terms of, quote, their Twitter files. And of course, this is on top of so much other work that Judicial Watch has done as it relates to the censorship menace to the American people. So many people have been censored. Never before in American people, never before in the history of our country have so many people been censored by so few. I'm talking hundreds of millions of American citizens censored by the left, the deep state machine, to help protect their power, expand their power, and hurt their enemies. And you've been the target. We got documents last year in November from the Homeland Security Department revealing an extensive effort by the government to working with non-governmental entities to monitor and censor social media posts on election fraud during the 2020 election. So it was a conspiracy, literally. In June of 2024, we found other Homeland Security records that showed state election officials in the days before and after the 2020 election flagging online content deemed misinformation and sending it to the Center for Internet Security, a DHS-funded, so this was literally happening under the Trump administration's very nose. They had internal deep staters targeting citizens for questioning how the election was handled. And this was run out of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which then was a division of the Department of Homeland Security. And you may recall there was a fight over whether that agency should be shut down. I don't recall how it was because everyone was, the usual suspects were opposed to it. I think it eventually was shut down or will be, but tell me below because I don't have time to look it up right now and tell you where it stands. In December of just 2 years ago, December 2023, they showed again not only a collaboration between that deep state DHS agency known as the Cybersecurity and Information Security Agency, it showed that they were they were involved in a real-time narrative tracking on all major media platforms in the days leading up to the 2020 election. So what does that mean? You had a government agency spying on your content in the days running up to the election. We have more documents in that regard, and of course we've got this case we uncovered through our litigation in California because California Secretary of State's office, we uncovered through records, had caused YouTube to take down a video, one of our weekly updates, where I was talking about mail-in balloting and the controversies around mail-in balloting and our successful efforts to clean up voter rolls in California. And the California Secretary of State, of course, was a target of that litigation, and they had the video taken down from YouTube. So we've sued, and right now it's before the Supreme Court. Or I'm hoping it gets before the Supreme Court eventually. I guess it's not. It's the cert process is still underway. And California was working with the Biden campaign front to censor Judicial Watch and other American citizens. CDC was involved in the COVID cover-up as well in terms of trying to censor Americans. We have documents in that regard. You know, the question is who wasn't targeting Americans, and of course, targeting Americans for censorship. And of course, Judicial Watch has been on all the lists that the left were generating to target for censorship. And I've been on the lists as well. I'm at the top of some of these lists. And of course, the left cites these lists as Tom Fitton is a purveyor of misinformation, which is a smear. But, you know, my response is these communists, they love lists. They love making lists of their enemies for destruction. So we're on the list. And if I'm on the list and Judicial Watch is on the list and Trump is on the list, it means that, in effect, you're on the list as well, because they don't want you finding out what they're up to. And the way to stop that from happening is by censoring us. Now, presumably, the Trump administration isn't doing that anymore. I don't know. Maybe some deep state people are still playing this game. I don't know. But I do know that Pam Bondi's Justice Department and Kash Patel's FBI is covering up some of the censorship materials from the Biden era. And I can't think of a good reason to justify it. And I know people say, well, maybe they're developing a case or there's a criminal investigation. No. That's not what's happening. I'm just telling you that's not the issue. And don't reassure yourself, oh, they may have a good reason because they're developing a case or a lawsuit. That's literally not the issue. If it were, they would have other reasons for objecting and they'd have to inform the court about it. There are no secret investigations justifying the withholding of information. I guarantee you that's not happening. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.